Hi, I'm Brian Neely, Associate Principal of Allen High School, and I hope to take the next few minutes to talk to our virtual learners who are coming on our campus on October 14th to either take the PSAT or SAT. I hope to share some of the mitigation strategies and that we have traditionally for all of our students, but some special things we put in place to keep everybody as safe as we possibly can for testing, knowing that we're going to have quite a few more students on our campus than we have had in recent months. So in order to keep everyone safe, we have designed a testing arrival area and process, as well as a dismissal area and process for both the virtual learner and the at-home learners. That's going to be both virtual learner and our face-to-face learners, that minimize exposure to each other and minimize exposure to new groups as much as possible. No system's absolutely perfect, obviously. I can't build a vacuum and put every kiddo in a vacuum. However, we have taken a lot of steps to ensure that students are protected as much as they possibly can be. For students who are coming on campus for our PSAT, so that means I'm talking about our sophomores and juniors. First and foremost, I need everyone to know that in order to step foot on our campus at this time, you must wear a mask. You also need to have a student ID. Your arrival time is going to be different than our in-person traditional student arrival time will be. We're doing this so hopefully it creates a bit of a stagger and essentially builds a bubble around the students that are traditionally on campus learning and a bubble around the students that are traditionally are at home learners. So your arrival time is going to start at 9 o'clock. So we're going to ask that students who are taking the PSAT start arriving on our campus at 9 o'clock. The testing will begin at 9:30. For students who are traditionally on our campus and face-to-face learners, their arrival time will still be opening doors at 8:30, and they get to their testing area by 9:50. Because you guys are going to be separated from them, we're going to have an arrival time from 9 a.m. Sophomores, we're going to have a different entrance for you as well. You will enter through K Hall exterior doors. If you look at my map that I've shared with you guys, it's located in the top left-hand corner. You can see an aerial map of or aerial shot of our campus. There is a large red star. Where that large red star is, that is signifies K Hall. It's located directly between our PAC entrance area and our Collin College entrance area as well. So we're going to ask all sophomores who are virtual learners, and only our sophomore virtual learners, enter starting at 9 o'clock between the window of 9 to 9:30 through the exterior doors of K Hall. Again, remember, you must have your mask and your ID on. For our juniors, we're going to ask that you also have your mask and ID on, and your arrival time, again, will be at 9 a.m., a window of 9 a.m. to 9:30, but we're going to ask you enter through F Hall exterior doors. Looking at the same map, you'll see another star on that building. That star is located where our F Hall is. F Hall is our last academic long hallway right before you come to our circle drive. So you guys that did the distribution and picking up things, you know exactly where that is located. We're going to ask that you enter there. Virtual learners, whenever you arrive to your area, you're going to go straight to your testing site. We're going to ask you please follow all our mitigation strategies upon entering the building, and I'll go through all those here shortly, here a little bit later in the presentation. But once you'll go straight to your testing site. Tests will begin at 9:30, and we believe we can finish up a little bit after 1 o'clock, and we should have you guys released and off the campus by 1:30 that afternoon. Whenever you guys exit, we're going to ask you exit the same doors that you came in. So we're going to ask that you will exit out the back of F Hall, and we're asking you exit out the back of K Hall. So you'll exit right where those stars are as well. We're doing this not because we want to make you walk all the way around the campus, the front of the school, or anything like that. But we are doing this so we have less students in the main hallway, and it helps to not expose you to an area you haven't been in before. So we're going to try to limit your exposure to our main hallway and where other students have been. Um, uh, this, of course, is for the exception of extended time testers. Students that have extended time, you have separate communication from our testing coordinator here on our campus. They'll explain exactly where you will go and your exit time as well, because it will not be 1:30. It will be a little bit later in the day. For our SAT testers, again, just like SAT or just like our PSAT and all of our students who come on our campus and staff as well, you must wear a mask and you must wear your student ID, obviously. Your arrival time is going to be at 8:30 a.m. We're going to ask you to arrive from 8. The doors of our campus will open at 8:30. We're going to ask that you enter either our main entrance or our PAC entrance. The reason we're doing this is because SAT testing is going on in a couple different places, and there was no good entrance for you guys to enter specifically for those, designated just for those areas. But your testing will start right at 8:50. You guys are primarily testing in F Hall and A Hall. However, just to be safe, we're having all SAT testers enter through our main entrance or our PAC entrance between the window of 8:30 and 8:50. Once you guys are starting your test at 8:50, we again feel like we can get you done a little bit after 1 o'clock, probably somewhere close to 1:30, and we hope to have you released no later than 1:30. Again, we're going to ask that you guys exit out the academic hallway. So if you happen to be testing in F Hall, you will exit out the back of F Hall. If you happen to be in A Hall, you'll exit out the back of A Hall. You will not go in the main hallway. Again, not because we're trying to be mean and make you guys walk around a long way to where you guys parked or where your parents are picking you up. But we're doing that to minimize exposure of students who are going into our main hallways and try to keep our main halls as clear as we possibly can. Of course, exception to this as well is going to be those students who are extended time testers. Your release will be after 1:30, obviously, a little bit later that afternoon. Some of our mitigation strategies we have on the campus, some of you may not be familiar with them because you may have never been on our campus prior to or even this whole year. But first and foremost, we want to make sure everyone knows you must wear a mask. And wearing a mask on this campus means your nose is covered as well as your mouth and chin. So you need to make sure that mask properly fits. We don't wear a mask down around our chin or up too low, too high. We make sure your mask is worn appropriately and correctly. You will not be allowed on this campus if you do not have a mask. The second mitigation strategy we have is that you will enter and exit through those designated areas that we're talking about. We're doing this to ensure that we try to build a bubble around you guys and keep you guys as safe as we possibly can. Once you enter the building, there is not to discourage loitering or large gatherings. Once you enter the building, you report directly to your testing areas. We don't have gatherings of groups in halls or hanging out seeing your friends. Once you enter, you will report directly to your testing areas. You'll notice in the pictures that we have, you guys may have not been on our campus in a while, that we do have directional one-way halls. This is done to limit face-to-face contact. Our main hallway is one way from the main entrance to the PAC downstairs, and in order to come from the PAC toward the main entrance, you have to go upstairs and work your way that direction. We do this to minimize the face-to-face contact that occurs when walking in hallways that are traditionally two-way. So we minimize that as much as we possibly could. Another thing that's a little bit different are restrooms. We do not allow students to go to restrooms during what we refer to as passing period or arrival and dismissal. So during your arrival time for testing, whenever you first get here, you do not go and use the restroom and see your friends. You walk in and you will go straight to your testing area. Restrooms will be allowed to be used, obviously, but it'll be up to the instructor discretion and it'll be in a controlled fashion. So it will not be done during I guess if you would call it a passing period. Um, we use a saying an awful lot, foam in and foam out, and what that means is we do a lot of hand washing here. We've gone through an awful lot of hand sanitizer on this campus since we have started school. But foam in and foam out means you will wash your hands constantly every time you enter an area and every time you exit an area. So whenever you go into your testing room, you will be asked by the instructor to foam in and wash your hands. We have hand sanitizing stations that are on every wall whenever you enter a classroom. And then every time you walk out of that classroom, you will be asked to do the exact same thing. We'll also have hand sanitizers located at all of our entrances as well. So as you choose to, as you directly enter the building, you can use a hand sanitizer, but you'll be required once you enter a testing area or a classroom or any sort of specific room, you'll be asked to you'll be required to use the hand sanitizer at that time. Be smart. Bring your own materials. It makes no sense for us to do all this stuff and make sure we're washing our hands constantly and wearing these masks and trying to keep as distant as possible. If you show up and you don't have a pencil, you need to borrow someone else's pencil, and they have to reach in their bag or reach in wherever it might be. They touch it. They may have been chewing on it, had it behind their ear, whatever it might have been. They hand it over to you. So bring your own materials. Bring your own testing materials. As well as your own snacks. We don't need to. There will be no food passing or sharing. I know you're allowed to have some snacks while this test is going on because it is a time test and there are designated breaks in between. There is no lunch break, which is why lunches are pushed so far back. So you're allowed to have these snacks, but don't borrow snacks from other people. Don't share bites of things. Don't share drinks of things. We'll do our best to make sure that you guys don't do that, but just be smart. Bring your own materials and keep it safe as possible. And the last thing is keep in your bubble. And what that means is this: I have awareness of who's around you. Have awareness of how close you are to other people. Don't run up and hug people if you haven't seen them in quite a while. Don't the high fiving and hugging and those sort of things. Be smart. Let's try to work to keep separate as best we possibly can. Another thing to be smart on is transportation. I know a lot of you guys have not been on our bus system, but you may have to ride this bus to get to the testing. I'm just going to say that I'm not saying you can't, but I would say you need to have a conversation with your family and really discuss that because you're about to get on a bus with a pretty large amount of kiddos that you have not been around before, and ride for an extended period of time with them to and from a campus. So if you have the opportunity, the ability to have, or either drive yourself or have a parent bring the student, that's probably the best way to do it. So just be smart about that and do your best to keep in your bubble as best you possibly can. And last and most importantly, this refuse to follow any of our mitigation standards that we have on our campus and our guidelines. It's going to result in you being removed from the campus. We take the safety of all of our students very seriously because this has a huge impact on when we can eventually return to having a normal school day. So we take this very, very seriously, and we ask that you do the same as well. Students, we're super excited to see you guys here on the 14th. I think it's an amazing opportunity that our district has given to you guys to come up to our campus and take the SAT and the PSAT, and we look forward to the huge successes that we're going to get from that, the results we're going to get from that. But again, thank you and have a good weekend.